before the first star, before the first breath, before there was an up or a down or a name for anything, there was something or there was nothing. Nobody who ever lived could agree on which. But everybody who ever lived asked the same question, alone in the dark. Where did all of this come from? The sky above you, the sea, the ground under your feet, you. And here is the strange part. They did not answer it the same way, but they did not answer it randomly either. A body torn apart, its bones raised up as the mountains. An egg, sealed and floating in the nothing, waiting to crack. Water. Endless black water with no shore and no bottom and no light. A voice in the emptiness that simply speaks, and the speaking becomes the thing. These stories were told on different continents, by people who never met, who, in some cases, could not possibly have met. Tonight we lay them side by side, 10 of them, Greek, Norse, Egyptian, Babylonian, Hebrew, Hindu, Chinese, Japanese, Maya. We will not blend them together. Each one is strange and whole and deserves to be told true. But watch the shape underneath the words, because the same handful of images keep surfacing in cultures with no way to share them. Primordial water, a cosmic egg, a murdered giant, the tearing of the sky from the earth. Let us begin at the beginning, every beginning. Start in Greece. Around 700 years before Christ, the poet Hesiod writes it down. First of all, he says, chaos came to be. Not chaos as we mean it, not mess, not disorder. A chasm, a yawning gap, an emptiness shaped like an open mouth. Then came Gaia, the earth herself, broad and deep, the ever-sure foundation on which all things could one day stand. And dim Tartarus, far down in the ground. And Eros, desire, fairest of the deathless gods, the force that pulls all things together. Out of chaos spilled darkness and night. And out of night, in turn, came brightness and day. Then Gaia, alone with no mate, brought forth Uranus, the starry sky, to cover her completely and equal to herself. Sky lay upon earth, and from that union came the Titans, 12 of them, Oceanus, Rhea, Cronus, the old gods. But Uranus hated his own children. He crushed them back down inside Gaia, deep in her body, where they could never be born. So Gaia forged a jagged sickle. Cronus, the youngest Titan, took it up and unmanned his own father, and the age of the Titans began. Now go north, into the cold. The Norse remembered a time before the worlds, and at its center yawned a void, Ginnungagap. On one side, Niflheim, a realm of ice and freezing mist. On the other, Muspelheim, a country of nothing but fire. And where the heat of the fire reached across the void and touched the rime of the ice began to drip, and the dripping took shape. From it came Ymir, the first being, a giant, vast beyond all measure. And from the same melting frost came a great cow, Audhumla. Ymir drank her rivers of milk and grew. Audhumla licked the salt-crusted ice for her own food. And as she licked, a buried figure slowly emerged from the frost. This was Buri, the forefather of the gods. His son, Bor, took the giantess Besla as his wife. And they had 3 sons. The eldest was named Odin, with him his brothers Vili and Vi. The 3 brothers turned on the giant Ymir. They killed him, and from his enormous ruined body they built the whole world. His flesh became the soil, his blood the seas, his bones the mountains, his skull the dome of the sky, his brains the drifting clouds. Cross now to Egypt. Here before anything there was none. The primordial waters, dark, endless, motionless, and utterly without life. Then out of none, a single mound of dry earth rose up, the first solid ground, and upon it a god made himself. In the city of Heliopolis they called him Atum. No one created him. He created himself, alone, out of the infinite water. Atum brought forth the first pair with no mate at all. Shu, the air, and Tefnut, moisture, sneezed and spat out of his own body. From them came Geb, the earth, and Nut, the sky, and from them Osiris, Isis, Set, and Nephthys, 9 gods in all, the Ennead. But Egypt told more than one beginning. In another city, Hermopolis, they did not count 9 gods, they counted 8, the Ogdoad. 4 pairs, frog-headed and serpent-headed, embodying the deep waters, the hidden, the darkness, and the endless. Out of their formless chaos rose the first mound, and on it, some said, an egg, and from that egg broke the newborn sun. 2 cities, 2 beginnings. The Egyptians did not choose between them. Both were true, the way 2 prayers can both be true. Go older still, to Mesopotamia, the land between the rivers. Their great epic opens with the words, Enuma Elish, when on high. When the sky above had no name, and the earth below was not yet named, there was only water. And the water was 2 living beings, Apsu, the sweet fresh water beneath the ground, and Tiamat, the vast, churning salt sea, and their waters mingled together as one. Out of that mingling the gods were born, young, loud, restless, and their endless noise gave old Apsu no peace. So Apsu plotted to destroy his own children, to have silence again. But the clever god Ea uncovered the plot and killed Apsu first. Then Tiamat rose up in fury. She spawned an army of monsters. She named the god Kingu her champion and gave him the tablets of destiny. The gods were terrified of her. Only one would face her, Marduk, and his price was this, that he be made king over all of them. Marduk snared Tiamat in a great net. He drove the raging winds into her open mouth and loosed an arrow straight through into her heart. Then he split her corpse in 2, like a shellfish. One half he raised up as the sky, the other he laid down as the earth, and from the blood of Kingu he fashioned mankind. Go west now among the Hebrews to a different kind of beginning. No war, no slain god. In the beginning God created the heavens and the earth. The earth was formless and empty. Darkness lay over the face of the deep, and the Spirit of God hovered over the waters. Then a word, let there be light, and there was light. Here creation comes not by struggle, but by speech. Day after day the word divides and then fills, light from the dark, the waters above, parted from the waters below, dry land drawn up from the sea, then the plants, then sun and moon and stars hung to mark the turning of the seasons, then the creatures of the water and the sky, then the beasts of the land, and last of all, humankind, made in the image of God. And on the 7th day God rested, not from exhaustion, but the way a king surveys a finished kingdom and calls it good. Now go east to India, where there is not one story of the beginning, but many, layered one upon another across 3,000 years. The oldest hymns dare only to wonder. In the beginning there was neither being nor non-being. Who can truly say? Perhaps even the gods came after. One hymn tells of Hiranyagarbha, the golden womb, a radiant cosmic egg floating utterly alone upon the primordial waters. It drifted there for a full cosmic year, and then it broke apart. One half rose up as the shining heaven, the other sank as the earth. Another hymn tells, instead of Purusha, a cosmic giant, a single primordial being with 1,000 heads. And the gods took Purusha and offered him up as a sacrifice. From his dismembered body they built the entire world. From his mind came the moon, from his eye the sun, from his breath the wind, and from the parts of his body all the ranks of human society. And in the later tellings, the creator Brahma rises from the golden egg, or from a floating lotus, to shape the worlds, again and again, in endless cycles without beginning or end. Turn now to China. Here too it starts as an egg, the heavens and the earth, tangled together, formless, like the inside of a hen's egg, and asleep within that egg, Pangu, a giant curled in the total dark for 18,000 years. Then Pangu woke, and the cramped, crushing darkness enraged him. He swung with all his strength, and the shell cracked open. The light, clear part of it drifted upward and became the sky. The heavy, murky part sank downward and became the earth. But Pangu feared the two would close together again. So he stood up between them and pushed, sky up, earth down. Every single day he grew 10 feet taller and forced them 10 feet farther apart. And he held them so for another 18,000 years. At last the sky stood high and fixed and would not fall. And Pangu, utterly spent, lay down and died, and his body became the world. His breath became the wind and the clouds. His eyes became the sun and the moon. His blood became the rivers, and his sweat the falling rain. Later the goddess Nua walked the finished, empty earth and grew lonely. So she knelt by a river and shaped little figures from the yellow clay, and breathed on them, and they lived. The first people. Cross now to the islands of Japan. In the beginning, heaven and earth were not yet formed, only an oily, drifting mass, like a jellyfish on the sea. Generation after generation of gods came and passed away, and at the very last stood a brother and a sister, Izanagi and Izanami. The elder gods gave them a jeweled spear and a single command: go down and give shape to the drifting, unformed world. So they stood together upon the floating bridge of heaven, and they lowered the tip of the spear into the churning brine below. And they stirred and stirred, and when they drew the spear back up, the brine dripping from its point piled up and hardened. It became the first island, Onogoro. They stepped down onto it, and there the two were wed beneath a great heavenly pillar. And Izanami began to give birth. Island after island, until the whole long chain of Japan lay scattered across the sea. And she bore the gods, too, of the wind, the mountains, the rivers, the trees, until at last the birth of a fire god burned her, and she died down into the underworld. And finally crossed the whole ocean to the Maya and to their sacred book, the Popol Vuh. In the beginning, only the sky above and the sea below. Silence, perfect stillness, and in the water the gods, wrapped in green and blue light. They spoke together in the dark, and wherever they spoke, the earth rose up out of the sea. Mountains, forests, rivers, and animals. But the animals could only screech and howl and roar. They could not speak the gods' names. They could not praise the ones who had made them. So the gods set out to make a better creature, one that could know them and worship. First, they shaped a body out of wet mud. But the mud being crumbled, it sagged and dissolved. It could not hold together or think or truly see. So they let it wash away. They tried again, carving people out of wood. And these walked and talked and multiplied, but their hearts were hollow. They forgot their makers. So a great flood was sent down to unmake them. The wooden people were destroyed, and it is said their few survivors are the monkeys and the trees. And then, at last, the gods found the true substance. They ground yellow corn and white corn, and from the maize dough they formed the first real humans, who saw and understood and gave thanks. 10 peoples, 10 beginnings, told in languages that never touched, on shores that never met. And yet, lay them all down side by side, and the same shapes come rising up out of the mist. Look closely. Almost every one of them begins in water. Nun, Apsu and Tiamat, the deep of Genesis, the primordial ocean of India, of Japan, of the Maya. Before there was ever a world, there was a formless sea. It is humanity's oldest guess about itself, that we came up out of the water. Then, again and again, the egg. Ginnungagap in India, pangu's shell in China, the egg on the mound at Hermopolis. A round, sealed, perfect wholeness that has to break for the world to be born, as if nothing can ever come without first a cracking open. And the giant. Ymir in the frozen north, Purusha in India, Pangu in China, Tiamat in Babylon. A single vast body taken apart, and the pieces become the mountains, and the seas, and the sky. Creation as sacrifice. Something must die so that everything can live. And over, the very same first act, the tearing of the sky from the earth. Pangu shoving them apart. Marduk raising Tiamat's halves. Shu lifting the sky goddess up off the earth. As if every people gazing upward felt the same thing in their bones, that in the beginning the sky and the ground were one and had to be pulled apart to make a space in the middle for us. And then, quietest of all, creation by a word. God speaks, and light simply is. The Maya gods speak, and the land rises. Egypt's Atum names a thing, and it becomes. Maybe these are only coincidences. Or maybe, staring into the very same dark, 1,000 generations were all remembering the same dream. Because the question was never really, how did the world begin? The question underneath was always, how did we? Whatever you believe about the beginning, you are here tonight to wonder about it. And that, in every language ever spoken, is the oldest miracle of all.